There's a problem. Thank you for that beautiful summary. But there's a problem. The problem is this. When you listen carefully to Advaita Vedanta, you suddenly realize there's a huge contradiction in what is being said. We are being told that I'm not the body and mind, I'm the pure consciousness, pure being, Sakshi, Atman, Brahman, whatever you call it. And then we're also told that Brahman is everything. All this is Brahman. So I'm not the body and the mind, and obviously I'm not this universe, I'm the witness consciousness. And I'm the body, mind, and the entire universe. How can the two be the same? Do you see? Yeah. We are being told that I am the witness consciousness apart from, different from, separate from, body, mind, world. World, it's not new to us. We know, I am, this is the world, I am this. But even this body is not me, the mind is not me. So I'm something separate from, different from. If there is difference, if there is separation, how can there be non-duality? How can there be oneness? We heard yesterday, as the Swami beautifully summarized now, that I am the seer, drashta, the body is the seen, even the mind is the seen, I am the subject, this is the object. We tried yesterday experientially trying to see it. I am consciousness, and the body is not conscious in itself. Even the mind is devoid of consciousness in itself. So I'm consciousness. How can I be the body-mind? I am unchanging, and the body is continuously changing, the mind is continuously changing. As a matter of fact, I see it, yes, I assented to it. I am the unchanging Atman, consciousness. And the body-mind are forever changing. How can I be the body-mind? Another pointer was, I am always one. I always see myself as a single identity, one. And the body is obviously put together, compounded. The mind is also so many things together. So how can the many and the one be the same thing? They cannot. So I am not the body-mind. And also that inner and outer, you remember? The body is always experienced as out. I have always experienced myself as in there. Mind is experienced as something that I experience from within. So I am in there and this body-mind is outside. So how can I be the body-mind? How can the in there be the out there also at the same time? But basically the idea is, there is difference. Earlier, before all this, I drew the line at I and the world, subject and object. I drew the line at my skin. Outside this skin, world. Here onwards, inside, me, I. So there's this difference. And after all the Vedanta yesterday, all I did was, I just shifted the line a little further back in. Now the body is relegated to the world, the mind is also relegated to the world. I am witness consciousness. But still difference. There is a duality, more than duality, it's plurality. Millions of entities and consciousness. So where is non-duality? Where is oneness? And yet we are told, all this is one, Brahman alone is all this. The Mandukya Upanishad begins with, all this is Brahman. All this is Brahman, all right, very good. Brahman is this very self. Yeah, you are Brahman. That means I am all. If Brahman is all and I am Brahman, by the simple, what is it called? Commutative property in mathematics? Transitive. Yes, transitive property. So then if I am Brahman and Brahman is everything, then I am everything. And yet I said I am not everything. I am the separate witness of everything. How does it work? Here is the great contradiction. And if you can resolve the contradiction, really resolve it, you're enlightened. Jivan Mukta. If you can at least resolve it, we can resolve it in our understanding. We've got an understanding of Advaita Vedanta. We have got a grasp on that. So that's the subject today, resolving it. How do you resolve, how do you get oneness, non-duality in our understanding and in reality as a living fact? To explain this, I will take the help of one of my favorite Vedantic stories. It's the ocean metaphor, which Swami Vivekananda loved. Ashtavakra uses it again and again. Imagine out there in the Pacific Ocean, a little wave is born. The wave is born, and the wave looks around itself and finds other little waves like it, and they go to wave school maybe, and it grows up, and it's fun. It plays with waves, and it's such fun cruising along on the surface of the ocean with other little waves. Very soon the little wave finds out, life is not all fun. Life as a wave has its ups and downs. Pardon the... Okay, I know it's terrible, but I couldn't resist it. And there are some waves who are mean to it, and some waves which are so big, and the little wave feels that, wow, I'll never be like that. It's envy, it's tremendous. The tsunami wave, look at it, it's fantastic. I'll never amount to that. And it looks at other waves which are smaller than it, maybe a bubble or a little bit of foam, and thinks, hey, what a loser. I mean, there is envy, and there's contempt, and there's competition, and there's change. The wave is growing. It's becoming bigger and bigger. And it matures into a very responsible grown-up wave, doing all sorts of wavy things. And then the real problem comes. What's that? There, up ahead, it asks its friend. And the other wave says, that's San Diego. That's where all waves go to die. What? What? Yeah. You see the foam and the surf and the crashing waves, that's where all waves are smashed into nothingness. You just hit it and that's it, gone. That's the end of your life. And that happens to everybody. It's going to happen to me. Yeah. The Buddha asked the charioteer, death, am I going to die? It's going to happen to me too? Yes, it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to everybody. All the waves I love? Yes. Then this is existential crisis. Death. Then this Vedantic wave comes along and says, there's a way out of all this. There's a solution to this whole problem. What is that? There is something called water, waves die, but water does not die. Water is immortal. I'm good for water, but that's not my problem. San Diego is coming up. But wait, you are water. You are water. No, I'm a wave. No, you are water. Look into yourself. Wave is an object and the water is the subject. The wave is ever changing and the water is unchanging. You see? So you look into yourself and you will find water. Where? First of all, look deep into yourself. Okay, I get it. And then look at the surface. And then look at the sides. It's all water. You are water. And when you smash against San Diego, the waveform is lost. It becomes spray and foam and surf. And it's still water. You're still water. You as water, you continue. You just change your form into another fun form. And if the sun takes you up in its rays, this is Swami Vivekananda's words, you go up in the sunbeams and as water vapor, it's still water. And you descend upon the parched earth as a blessing and a benediction, as rain, and then you run in the rivers and come back to the ocean. The same water you are. Immortal water you are. There's no death for you. And the wave says, wow, you're right. I am water. I'm not a wave. You can call me a wave. It's a name. It's a form. It's an activity. Nama, Rupa, Vyavahara. But I am water. Right now, right here, forever. I was water. I am water. I will be water. Next, when it looks around, so the fear of death is gone. Now it looks around. It sees suddenly all the other waves are, hey, you are water too. Yes. All the other waves are water. The tsunami wave, which it was envious of, is water. And the little foam bubble, which was contemptuous of, is water. Indeed, everything around is water. We are all one water. As we begin to see the waves' own boundaries melt away. Where is the boundary between me and you? Where is the boundary between one wave and another wave? There's no boundary. Suddenly the wave expands to fill out the entire ocean. I am this one body of water. Not just one wave. I am one with all. There is no difference here whatsoever. This one surging body of water, I am. So non-difference is established. All the waves are not second entities apart from me, the water. I am the one non-dual water, non-dual Advaita. Of course, that's a watery kind of Advaita. Now notice two things. So envy is gone, contempt is gone, oneness is established, and it's a joy. But notice two things about this story. Do you notice two stages? One stage was when the wave found out, I am not a wave or a bubble or foam, I am water. Apart from the wave, name, form and activity, I am water. Different from that, I am water. As water, I am immortal. Stage one. It still did not feel the oneness with everything, but it noticed its inner nature, its real nature as water. And then it expanded outwards to see that all this is water. There is indeed only water here. There is no such separate thing called a wave or foam or bubbles. And so oneness was established, stage two. So there were two stages here, two stages involved. That's the great thing to know about Advaita Vedanta. Today's takeaway from this session, which is called the Ultimate Reality, is that Advaita Vedanta has two steps. One must know this. Please remember this, Advaita Vedanta has two steps. Whenever you listen to non-dualistic teachings, Advaita teachings, identify immediately, first step. I am not the body, not the mind. Which step? First step. You're retreating from body, mind to discover the reality. I am one with all. There is no difference whatsoever. Which step? Second step. Yes. Step two. Non-duality is established. Shankaracharyas, we know the beautiful hymn which we read. Mano buddhyahankara chitta. You remember Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. What is the first line? Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham. What does it mean? I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. I am not the memory. I am not the ego. Ahankara na aham. Very interesting. It's literally saying, I am not I. How can that be? There I means the personal I, the function of the mind called the ego, the ahankara, the ego. That's also an experienced fact. It's an object. It's an object subject to change and it's devoid of consciousness in itself, and so on. So, this is first step. But then it says, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Still the first step, you come to the conclusion, I am that. If you go a little further from that, one step further, this Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham, I am Shiva of the nature of consciousness and bliss. This alone manifests the entire universe. Then you have accomplished the second step. Advaita is accomplished. So, all the techniques in the Upanishads, in the Mandukya, Taittiriya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, all of them, they go through these two steps. Even Drigdrishya Viveka. If you see the teaching, what we did yesterday is only the first verse of Drigdrishya Viveka. The body is drishya, an experienced object, seen. The mind is seen, an experienced object. You are the experiencer consciousness. But only first step. If you go through the text a little later on, then it establishes a relationship between you and the rest of the universe. What is the universe? It's just Maya, name and form, appearing on the surface of the ocean of the consciousness which you are. In fact, Drigdrishya Viveka has a beautiful verse. It says, what is this universe? Yes, you are witness consciousness. But what is this universe? It says it's like foam on the surface of the waves. The foam appears distinct, but it's nothing other than the water itself. The foam on the surface of the ocean of consciousness is the universe. Now, this is a happy coincidence probably, but modern physicists today, they say, what is this visible universe? They have a term for it, quantum foam. Very interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that they knew quantum mechanics back then, but how interesting that they would use 700 years ago in southern India, Vidyaranya writing this, uses the word foam on the surface of an ocean is this universe. Remember, the foam is not different from the ocean also. It's the same water. I remember listening to a talk by a contemporary Shankaracharya, the Shankaracharya of Puri. He's saying, look, I'll reduce the universe back into you, the pure consciousness. Remember, we have accomplished the first step. I am the witness consciousness. Now ask yourself, here is the mind and the sensory system. Here is the body. Here is the physical universe. What is the relationship of this universe to me, the consciousness? What is this universe then? Yes, you are the witness consciousness. Yes, you do not die. You do not change. You are ever the subject, never the object. You are ever the experiencer, not the experienced. But what is the experienced? What is the object? What is this universe? What's its relationship to you? This is where Sankhya stops. The philosophy of Sankhya and Yoga, they stop here. They say the universe is a material nature called Prakriti. And you are pure consciousness, Purusha. And each one of us is separate pure consciousness, infinite consciousness, but separate. And the universe is a separate material nature. You know this much, you're separate from it, you're free of death, you're free of suffering, that's it. That's the end. But Vedanta goes further, Advaita. Advaita says, look at this universe. I'm taking from what I heard from the Puri Shankaracharya. He says, 5 steps. He will merge this entire universe back into you in 5 steps. And you can do it here, right now. Step 1, take the universe. Here's the universe, step 1. Remember the old Vedantic cosmology, the Sankhyan cosmology. So what is this physical universe? It's nothing other than combinations and permutations of 5 elements. Sky and air and fire and water and earth. That's the way they thought of it in those days. Right? So just think about it this way. All of this is combinations of 5 elements. Sky and air and fire and water and earth. All of this. The chair you're sitting on, the body you inhabit, all the living beings, all the worlds that we live in, all of them are Panchabhuta, 5 elements. 5 elements. In fact, the Sanskrit word is very evocative. Prapancha. Prapancha means the 5 elements in detail or in combination. Prapancha is the expression of the 5 elements. Pancha, 5. Prapancha, expression of 5. What's Prapancha? Universe. In fact, that's the word for the universe in most Indian languages. Prapancha. We are in step 4 now. Everything here is 5 elements. In fact, if you look at it that way, most of our problems are gone. If this is 5 elements, living body 5 elements, healthy body 5 elements, sick body 5 elements, dead body 5 elements, mind is also 5 elements. According to the Sankhyan cosmology, all the subtle body, prana, the antakarana, the mind itself, all 5 elements. Everything in this universe is 5 elements. So step 4. Where is I am better than the other? That's also 5 elements. You are also 5 elements. That's the same. Absolutely. Where is an enemy? Where is a friend? Where is something to be got? That's 5 elements. When Sri Ramakrishna throws money and earth, clay, into the water, saying that money is dirt and dirt is money, and he is practicing that no attachment to money. But it's literally true. It's literally true. Though somebody said much later in Calcutta now, he says that Sri Ramakrishna knew what the value of the land will be very soon. So, dirt and money are the same value. That's what he was pointing to, buy land. No. It's all 5 elements, that's stage 4. I'm not going to explain in detail because we don't have time for that. Now, one step back. All these 5 elements have come from where? I'm talking in a Vedantic perspective. So they have all, if you look at the Upanishads, they have all come from Maya. Maya alone appears as these 5 elements. Brahman with its power of Maya projects the 5 elements. Says who? Taittiriya Upanishad. Thus, I'll chant it out and then translate. Tasmad va etasmad atmanaha, from this very Atman which is Brahman. Akasha sambhuta, space appeared. How did space appear? By the unique power of Maya, of Brahman, Saguna Brahman, Brahman with the power of Maya. Akashad vayu, vayoragni, agnerapa, adbhya prithvi. From space comes air, from air comes fire, from fire comes water, from water comes earth. And all these worlds are made of the 5 elements. So the ancient cosmology, not only in Vedanta, not only in Sankhya, but just about every ancient civilization, the Greeks, the Chinese, the Indians, they all had this 5 element cosmology. And all of them emerged from Brahman through the power of Maya. They are nothing other than Maya. In fact, it's a common saying in India, Sab Maya hai, everything is Maya. What they mean is, all of this universe of 5 elements, this physical universe, is Maya, an appearance, the power of Brahman. Stage 3, all is Maya. Remember, we are asking the same question. What is this universe? The first stage was, universe is this universe. Second stage was, all is the 5 elements only. Third stage was, all is Maya. Answer to the same question. What is this universe? All is Maya. But then what is Maya? Maya is nothing other than the power of Brahman. It has no existence apart from Brahman. In the Vedantic cosmology, again yesterday, do you remember somebody asked the question, Maya and Prakriti? So in Vedanta, in Advaita, Maya is the power of Brahman. And different schools of Vedanta also. Maya or Prakriti is regarded as the Shakti of Brahman. In Tantra also, Shakti is the power of Shiva. So Maya has no existence apart from Brahman. Maya is pervaded through and through by Brahman. So what is Maya must be also at its heart nothing other than Brahman. Brahman or Ishvara, Saguna Brahman, the closest we have got, the closest word we have got to God. So everything then, the fourth stage is, everything is all Maya is pervaded by Brahman. Therefore, if everything is Maya, it must be pervaded by Brahman. Brahman pervades everything. So what is the fourth stage? Answer, all this is Brahman or God. Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, God. But what is the relationship between pervader and pervaded? In Sanskrit, Vyapya, Vyapaka. Pervader and pervaded. What do you mean pervader and pervaded? What exactly are you saying here? Is it like, here is a hall and you light incense. The fragrance pervades the hall. The fragrance is not the hall. There is a hall, there is a space, and that is pervaded. It spreads out across, it fills up. Is it like that? Is Saguna Brahman or Ishvara or God something like an incense which pervades an existing Maya? Is it like light, which switch it on, it pervades a dark room and lights it up? The room existed other than the light. So is it like that? No, it's not like that. There is only one thing. Will you say water pervades the ocean as if there is a container called ocean which is filled up by water? No. Will you say wood pervades? You can say wood pervades this table, this lectern. Wood pervades this lectern. But if you examine it, it's only wood. The whole thing is wood and nothing else. Golden ornament, pervaded by gold. But pervaded does not mean there's an ornament which was filled up by gold. Not like incense. Not like light spreading out in a room. No. It is gold and gold through and through. This is wood through and through. The entire ocean is water through and through. I'm ignoring the salt and other things in it. It's water through and through. Similarly, pervader-pervaded relationship is nothing but that one consciousness alone. It's not that there is consciousness and which pervades its power of Maya. No. This Saguna Brahman or Ishvara is at its heart nothing but consciousness alone. Chaitanya Vyapaka, pervading consciousness, is actually Chaitanya Matram, consciousness alone. So the Sanskrit terms which I'm explaining so much, but if you see the original statement of the Shankaracharya which I heard was, he said, Brahmand, universe. Kya hai? What is it? Panchabhut, five elements. Kya hai? Maya matra. It's only Maya. Stage 3. What is? It's only Maya. Maya ka adhishtan hai Sagun Brahma. Maya is established, or the source of Maya, the origin of Maya, the power belongs to Brahman, Saguna Brahman. And it has no existence apart from that. Brahma Vyapya. Brahma means consciousness, Brahman. Consciousness pervades Maya. But then he asks, pervader and pervaded, what is the relationship? Not one pervading the other, but it is this reality of that alone. Chaitanya Matra. Chaitanya Matra, consciousness alone. 5 stages. Universe, 5 elements, Maya, God, consciousness alone. So yes, so what sounds cool? But what consciousness alone? That consciousness alone which we found yesterday. That witness, the seer of the scene, the consciousness which is experiencing a non-conscious universe, the unchanging which experiences a changing body and mind, the one identity in the complex body-mind system, the innermost where to which the body and mind are outer. That consciousness is being talked about here. So this universe is consciousness alone. What appears to be the seen, the drishya, what appears to be the seen is nothing but you, the seer. What appears to be the seen is nothing but you, the seer. What appears to be non-conscious, jada, non-conscious, is nothing but you, the consciousness. Through the magic of Maya, you appear to be a non-conscious universe. What appears to be continuously changing is nothing but you, the unchanging. Through the power of Maya, it appears to be a changing universe. What appears to be complex is you, the simple, single individual consciousness, that identity appearing as a diversity. What appears to be you, the innermost, to you, the external universe, you, that innermost reality, appears as the external universe. Do you now see the difference which I established yesterday? 5 pointers, differentiating. Now I have erased the difference. First, know yourself as the water amidst the different changing shapes of waves and foam and the surf. And knowing yourself as water, realize all the waves. Why just one wave? All the waves, all the surf and the bubbles and the foam in the entire ocean is you alone. Mai ananta mahambodo, in me the infinite ocean of consciousness. Vishwa viji swabhavata, the waves of the universe, they arise. Udetu vastamayatu name vriddhi navakshati. Let the waves arise, let them subside. The ocean neither increases nor decreases thereby. And the infinite ocean of consciousness in which the waves of the universe arise. The entire universe is like a wave in me. I mean, me means not in this body, not this physical body. In me, the infinite consciousness. I alone arise as these waves. When the waves arise, when birth comes, creation comes, happiness comes, wealth comes, success comes, name vriddhi. I do not gain an iota. I am the same thing. Astamayatu, when they subside, when old age comes and disease comes and death comes and failure comes and unhappiness comes and frustration and loneliness come, I have not decreased an iota. I am the same wave, I am the same ocean. Name vriddhi navakshati. I have no increase nor any decay or death, and no decrease at all, no loss at all. That one ocean, that is non-duality. Shankaracharya, let me just read a few verses in the time that we have got, and then we'll go into questions. This is non-duality. You are that non-dual consciousness. But practical advice, the thing to do is go through those pointers and try to understand yourself as the consciousness within. After that, the next step is not so difficult. When you look back upon the world, it's easy to see that it floats in you. It's not a separate world outside you. We'll discuss it. If you have, carefully, we'll trace it when you have questions. I'm quoting a few verses from Shankaracharya, the Aparoksha Anubhuti. Shankaracharya uses examples, so many examples to show this oneness. What examples? The famous snake and rope example. The universe is like the snake which appears in the rope. Or what is the rope? You, the consciousness. Is the snake apart from the rope? No. Does it have a separate existence? Are there two things, a snake and a rope? No. It's the rope alone which is mistaken as the snake. He uses the clay and the pot example. First, understand that the pot is nothing but clay. But then all pots are the same clay. The pot and the clay are not two separate existences. The universe is not a separate existence from you, the consciousness, not you, the person. The moment you identify yourself with one wave, then all the other waves will be separate from you. But the moment you identify yourself with water, All the waves are nothing but expressions of you yourself. Then he uses examples of the blue sky. There is no blueness in the sky actually. So what are you saying? San Diego is famous for its blue skies. Yes, it looks like that and you experience it. The beauty of Advaita is it does not deny experiences. Whatever you experience, it says yes, but it questions the reality of the experiences. It does not deny that you're experiencing a universe. It does not deny that you're experiencing a body or a mind. That would be crazy. See, Advaita is misunderstood. Advaita says, I'm experiencing a world, and it says world is false. How can you say that? Notice carefully what you said. You said, I am experiencing a world. Advaita Vedanta gives you tick mark. Check. Yes, you're experiencing a world. But who told you what you're experiencing is real? How do you know it's real? You've never considered. You experience movies. You experience dreams. You experience a snake in a rope. Error and delusion and fiction are part of our lives. How do you know that this universe that you're experiencing as an independent, is it really real? And so there is what is really real, and it comes to the conclusion, you alone are really real. And the universe is an appearance in you. He gives the example of the dream. He gives the example of classical Indian example of the nacre and the seashell. I counted 15 examples. They all mean the same thing. Universe is an appearance in consciousness. You are that consciousness. Universe is your appearance. I love Alan Watts' story. He was here, I think in the Bay Area probably. In the Bay Area. Alan Watts. In the 60s, he was very popular. There's a book. I highly recommend it. It's not popular these days anymore, but at one time it was really, really a big thing. It's a small book. And the name of the book is The Book.
How do you spell his last name?
Watts. W-A-T-T-S. Alan Watts. Some of his lectures are also there on YouTube in recordings there. The book. And the subtitle is On the Taboo Against Knowing What We Are. So he begins that with a nice story. He's made up the story, but it's such a beautiful story. It really, the meaning of this universe, this life, what's going on here if you ask the question. He tells this story. He says, it's like a children's story, but it's so wise, so deep. He says, God alone existed for a long time, from eternity to eternity. But eternity to eternity can be very boring, especially if you're alone. So God alone, there's nothing else, there's only God. So God alone, all the scriptures of the world say this. God alone was there in the beginning. So God alone existed for a long time and he got bored. He wanted to play, but he didn't have any friends because there was nothing else except God. So what could he do? Whom could he play with? So he thought about this for another very long period of time. Because he's God, he's awfully clever and he comes up with a plan. The plan is God now pretended to be not God. Now there were two. God and not God. Now he can play. But here's the problem. The problem is this. Because he's God, he's awfully good at what he does. So when he pretended to be not God, he completely forgot that he was God. And now there is God is not God, searching for who he is, searching for God, and that's the universe. That's the universe. And that's who you are, that's who I am, that's who we all are. Living beings, non-living beings, and that's the drama of life. And God is happy, God is playing. This is the play. If you ask, why was this universe created? Where Advaita Vedanta says, who says it was created? It wasn't created. And what is this? It's an appearance. You say, all right, let's say it's an appearance, but then how can a featureless, pure being and consciousness appear in this wildly diverse universe? So the answer given is, this is the extraordinary power of Brahman, of consciousness, to appear in so many ways. That's one answer. Another answer given by the devotee is, it is the play of God, Leela. Another answer given by the Upanishads themselves, this is bliss, this is Ananda. But it is Ananda only when you know. If you do not know, there's nothing else to do. Do not know, then it's very serious, deadly serious. Tragedy. And lifetimes of tragedy. If you know it, it's perfectly all right. Then a few verses, beautiful verses expressing this truth. and this is verse number 43 from Aparokshanubhuti. You can look them up later on. Chaitanyasyaika bhedo yukto na karhichit jivatvam cha mrishageyam rajjau sarpagraho yatha. Just like in a rope, one misperceives it to be a snake. Similarly, you, the pure Brahman, you, God yourself, you, the infinite existence, consciousness, bliss, you think you are an individual being, a person, a limited being, this body and mind, this person, Jiva. Jiva means individual sentient being. The one who thinks, I need $1 million, I need friends, I need food, clothing, shelter. It's a body which needs it. I need relationships, I need entertainment, I need education. Mind needs it, that's true. But you? So I need this jiva. I need spirituality, I need religion. Does Brahman need religion? Does the Absolute need spirituality? Now, this jiva, the jiva means the sentient, individual sentient nature. And we are all different jivas, millions of billions of people and billions of living creatures. It says jivatvam mrishageyam, it's an appearance. Individuality, separation, these little beings, we are appearances. Appearances of what? Of God, of one reality. It's God pretending to be not God. This is what it is. Then, how do you know that? Can you prove it to me that we are all one? We are not separate beings? Because bodies are separate. Count them. Minds are also separate. What you are thinking, I am not thinking. What you know, I do not know. What you feel, I do not feel. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, they're all different in different places, in different minds. Minds are different, though they might be fundamentally connected at a deeper level as the cosmic mind. Bodies are different, though they are part of the ocean of matter. But different bodies, different minds. But the consciousness behind them, what we discovered yesterday, are they different in different bodies? Sankhya will say yes. But Vedanta Advaita says no. Because what could differentiate consciousness, bare consciousness, pure consciousness? What could differentiate it? How do you see what I'm saying? How can you differentiate bodies? You say, Swami, count them. Here. It's located here, the other one's located there, he's there, she's there. Located differently, you can count them. You can count the minds also. Take a survey, take questionnaires, you'll get different replies, different minds, different knowledge, different attitudes, memories, desires. But how will you distinguish consciousness separate from that? Separate from the body-mind? How do you say your consciousness is different from mine? No way. If you think about it, there's no way of distinguishing consciousness. Swami Vivekananda put it the other way around. He said, there cannot be two infinites. He said, each of us is an infinite consciousness. It's not logical. There are many infinites in mathematics. But there cannot be, in reality, there cannot be two infinites. Infinite in the sense of the maximally infinite. Everything is included in that. If that is so, then if I am infinite and you are infinite, your infinity limits my infinity. Because you are something different from me. If you say you are something different from me, that infinity is different from this infinity. So there is something apart from this infinity. In that case, how can this be infinite? How can that be infinite? Infinity can only be one and non-dual. Upanishad says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Infinite existence consciousness is Brahman. So that infinite existence consciousness is what we are. Individual beings are appearances. There's a saying which I like very much. You, the person, you do not become free. You become free of the person. If you see it this way, that one sentence is enough to liberate. Step back from what you considered yourself to the person you consider yourself to be. Psychologically step back from it. You step back into a featureless awareness. The person does not become free. You become free of the person. This appearance nature, limited, false nature of the person, that is shown here. So will this person disappear once you become enlightened? No. But you realize it's a part of the game. It's a part of the movie. Once you are enlightened as the infinite, you come back to inhabit this person, you are now the Jivan Mukta. Then really it's a delight. Then you understand God's game. Then you understand how this is Leela. Then you understand how this is Ananda, bliss. That is the life of the enlightened person. So we are all one being, one consciousness. Then what about the non-living things? One more verse, then I'm done. Rajjvajnanat shanenaiva yadvad rajjurhi sarpini bhati tadvachiti sakshat vishwakarena kevala. What a beautiful verse. Not knowing the rope as a rope, in one instant it appears as a snake. Not knowing yourself as pure consciousness, in one instant you appear as the universe. You appear as the universe. There's another verse which you'll appreciate, 46. Vyapya vyapakata mithya sarvam atmeti shasanat iti jnate pare tattve bhedasyavasarah kutah. Vyapya vyapakataya mithya. Vyapya vyapakata mithya means pervader and pervaded relationship is false. We keep saying God pervades everything. No. God is everything. It's like saying water pervades the ocean. Yes, but the fact is the water is the ocean. Or the ocean is nothing but water. Similarly, when you realize one consciousness alone is there, not a consciousness pervading everything, consciousness alone is there. That's the only thing that there exists. Iti jnate pare tattve. When you realize this ultimate truth, today's subject, the ultimate reality, bhedasya avasarah kuta. Where is the chance for even the slightest difference between you and anything else? Would you like to ask questions now? Yes.
First, thank you for guiding us to this place, to where we are. All of you Swamis. I think you answered my question in that last statement, but I'm going to ask it because it still lingers. As we get close to enlightenment, as we get close to fully realizing and knowing and becoming consciousness, the ego will still have this fear of, as the Borg call it in Star Trek, being assimilated into the everything and losing that unique identity. And the ego may sabotage that attempt to take that final leap.
Yeah. All right. So Swami Vivekananda called it the old problem of what about the individuality, he would say. I don't want to be immortal as the whole. I want to be immortal as me, this person. Number one, I. It's like the wave saying, I want to be immortal as the wave, not as water of the entire ocean or something like that. So as individual. And Swami Vivekananda said, if you look at his Jnana Yoga lectures, he says, what is individuality? What is this precious individuality of ours? If you look at it, is it the body? So the baby's body and the young person's body and the older person's body, and he says, in that case, the moment the baby becomes grown up, then you've lost your individuality. Is it the body? Is it organs? If there's a transplant, then have you lost your individuality? I read this really scary article one and a half years back. They're thinking of doing a head transplant. Yes, they didn't go through with it. This is this crazy, I think, Russian scientist. They wouldn't allow him to do it in USA. He wanted to do it in China or something like that. And I thought there's so many hoaxes on internet, but no, it was not a hoax. It was in the Atlantic or something, a detailed article. This is a Russian biker who got an accident and he became paralyzed neck down, so he wants a body. So they are waiting for a person who's comatose, brain dead, but the body is healthy. Now what they'll do is they'll put them side by side and then they will cut off both their heads. Preserve this body and preserve this head, and then there's a trolley and a pulley, and this head will travel like this, and they'll put it in this body, and they'll connect it, and hopefully things will work.
Consciousness is space.
Now, what is he? What is he? What is he? You would ask him that they interviewed him. So what is your dream? He said, I want to be a biker again, this time in California. So he might be out there, you never know. What if the organs are the individuality, then which one is he? If the memories are individuality, we have forgotten most of our childhood and babyhood. A sudden blow to the head, or amnesia, or Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, most of our personality is gone. Where is the individuality? Samskaras are longer lasting, you're right. Samskaras are longer lasting, but they're subject to continuous change. They're slowly changing over lifetimes. Which set of samskaras? The samskaras that I had when I was a dinosaur in the Jurassic age, or the samskaras I had when I was a chimp in the jungles of Borneo or something, or the samskaras that I have as a monk today. Which one is my individuality? Which one? So Swami Vivekananda says our individuality ultimately lies in the cosmic, in the oneness of this pure existence, consciousness. Then only, once we realize ourselves as Brahman, I am Brahman, you are truly an individual, but that's an individual with a capital I. Until then, we are works in progress. Now, a practical advice. Don't think of yourself as I am now becoming more spiritual, I'm beginning to get it, I'm beginning to realize myself in the universe. Don't do that. The ego will sabotage that. It's terrifying for the ego. Look at it from the other way around. I am the universal. I am pure consciousness. And the ego is playing there, sometimes happy with it, sometimes scared with, sometimes trying to sabotage it. Nothing to me. It's not me. Identify yourself with Brahman straight away. If you cannot, Swami Turiyananda says something practical there. He says, Swami Vivekananda, whenever he said I, he identified himself with the universal, with Brahman. And then he says, more for our benefit, he says, Swami Turiyananda, it doesn't come so easily to the rest of us. So, we say thou. Their devotional attitude, it's the same Advaitic truth, but the devotional attitude is much easier then. You begin to understand this tremendous fact of a universal consciousness, one consciousness everywhere. And if you cannot, it's difficult to let go of the individuality. You can consider it, that is God to you. In fact, that God is much more real to you than anything else. And then you can worship. You can retain the fiction of individuality and worship God in that way. That's a beautiful attitude too. But the practical thing is, don't identify yourself with the ego, which is becoming more and more spiritual. Then the ego will hijack it. Identify yourself with Brahman straight away, because that's what you are. Right now, always where you are and will be. Very good. Let me know when I'm completely out of time. Let's work. Oh, you have a question? Yes, I'll come to you. Yes.
So, provider and pervaded both are one, it's a oneness. So the realized master see the plurality is a oneness again. So which means that once the person is realized, he's seeing that Brahman as a oneness, but in other hand, Brahman is no attributeless, okay, we can't see him as an objectified. So there is a contradiction between those two. How? That's what my question is.
All right. We're seeing Brahman as oneness, and yet Brahman cannot be objectified.
Mm-hmm.
So Brahman in itself is not objectified. The only way Brahman can be objectified, only way, there's only one way, with names and forms. Here, right in front of you. It is Brahman objectified. But you say the Brahman cannot be objectified? Yes, that's also true. Are you actually seeing Brahman? No, you're seeing a vase and a person and a room. You cannot actually see Brahman. All you can see are names and forms and activities. Nama Rupa Vyavahara. But this is nothing other than Brahman. If you investigate this, you will arrive at Brahman, but you will see Brahman not there. I am that Brahman. So Brahman's unobjectifiable nature, or let's say unobjectionable nature. I'm being very punny today. Unobjectionable nature is maintained. At the same time, it's true that all this is Brahman. We go there. Yes, the lady is here, then I'll come to you.
Okay, so Swami, thank you for can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for explaining about pure consciousness, but I still get confused sometimes because of the body and mind, and there is so much attachment to this body and mind in general. So let's say when we don't have the body and then we don't have the mind, and we are part of pure consciousness, what is it? Can we still think with that pure consciousness? How do you define it?
All right. You said, I listened to you very carefully, but I want you to listen to yourself now. You said that we are, I get confused sometimes, one, and there's so much attachment to body and mind. When you get confused, you say, are you aware of the confusion?
Yes.
That I'm confused, this is a feeling. And there are other times that confusion is not there. You feel a clarity.
Like when you're talking about it,
It seems clear.
intellectual level, yes.
And other times it seems confused.
Yes.
Now, the one which is aware of the clarity, the one which is aware of the confusion within you, is that one confused or clear? Who or what is aware of confusion? Who or what is aware of clarity? Where is confusion? Is it in the body? Is it in pure consciousness, in Brahman?
That's my question.
Is confusion in Brahman? Is Brahman confused? It's clearly in the mind. One, it's in the mind. Two, does it come and go? Are you always confused or sometimes only? And confused about different things at different times? So it clearly comes and goes. And each confusion is different from the other confusion depending on what you are confused about. Vishaya. This is in the mind. It's a name and form. It's within Maya. It's something that appears to you, the consciousness. That consciousness is the witness of confusion, is the witness of clarity. Do you sense what I'm trying to talk about? Stay there. You will see confusion will disappear. That confusion is mischief played by the mind. Mind says it's not very clear. It was clear, it's not very clear. It was clear to the mind and noted by consciousness. It is not clear to the mind anymore, noted by consciousness. That consciousness is always clear. Shankaracharya says, Yaeva tasya nirakarta tasyaiva atmasa. Whoever denies the Atman, it is the Atman of that very person. The greatest atheist, with all the cogent reasons for denying all this consciousness and all of these things, is only proving consciousness. Good.
I didn't see who was next.
Hi, Swamiji. Just coming through?
Yes.
I hope I phrased this right. I had a teacher who talked about the personal God. Ramakrishna talks about the highest possible relative. And there is this notion of Ishvara. This is a question around how does this mysterious differentiation that you're talking about, how does it truly exist? And related to that, because in certain sense it does exist, this relative world exists as Brahman. The other question is, I have a good friend who is a Kashmiri, Advaita Shaivanist, and they have this issue with themselves and the Vedantists, which I don't understand. And it has to do with what is the nature of this Prakriti, what is the nature of this Maya, this beautiful goddess? What is she?
Right. So there are two questions. One about the personal God and also the question about the Kashmiri Shaiva point of view. As I said, Turiyanandaji pointed out, it doesn't come so easy, all this what we are talking to. We tend to retain a real sense of individuality. That's it. I am an individual. If you are an individual, then there is a cosmos also. There is something else apart from you. The moment you are an individual, you are the subject, and here is the object. The reality of the subject is pure consciousness. The reality of this objective universe is pure being. The reality behind this universe is called Brahman, God. Not Nirguna Brahman, Brahman, Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, God. The moment I think of myself as an individual, I'm forced to think of the total because there are other individuals. There is a vast universe. All of it narrows down to, behind all of it is what I call God. This is the God of religion, the personal God. You'll notice the God of religion is always a creator God, the one behind this physical universe, except of course in yoga. But the God of religion is always a creator God, the one behind this universe. What can be my attitude as an individual being to this glorious, this extraordinary being, the personal God of the universe? Only devotion, only faith, only love, only surrender, awe, fear even. The fear of the wrath of God, the terror of God. Yes, certainly. We say so many things about love, and if you're confronted by even a spark of that the first reaction will be terror. Many of the great prophets, Arjuna, when Arjuna sees the form of Krishna in universal form, reaction is absolute terror. We have it safe. A little crib has been made for us for our spiritual growth. If we were really to confront the universe as it is and God be beyond the universe, the first reaction would be terror. Anyway, so this is the attitude towards God, the reality behind this universe. What else would I like to say about this? Kashmiri Shaivism. Yes, it's an extraordinarily profound and beautiful philosophy. If I were not an Advaita Vedantin, if you were ask me my second favorite philosophy, for me Advaita Vedanta is the peak of the mountain. But just around this way and that way, down one path lies all other Hindu philosophies. Down the other path lies all other Buddhist philosophies. It's not that the peak of the mountain is attained only by Hindus and Buddhists. Mystics of all religions have attained it. But philosophically, the framework-wise, I think there are only two mature religions in the world. That is Hinduism and Buddhism. The others are still in the teens. Philosophical framework, textually explaining the whole thing and setting up a framework. So you have Hindu philosophies and you have Buddhist philosophies. For me, Advaita Vedanta, but that's just my predilection. What are the others near the peak? Just close to the peak, but near the peak of Advaita. On one side would be something like Kashmiri Shaivism. On the Hindu side would be Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, the qualified monism. On the Buddhist side would be Nagarjuna's Madhyamaka and the Vijnanavada of Vijnanavada Yogachara. So there's a book, Chandradhar Sharma, the non-dual tradition in Indian philosophy, and he takes up 5 philosophies. These are all non-dual. Advaita Vedanta, of course, but also Vishishta Advaita, also Kashmiri Shaivism, also Shunyavada, Madhyamaka Shunyavada of Nagarjuna, Buddhist, and the Yogachara Vijnanavada of Buddhism also, Vasubandhu and others. Yeah. So yes, there's a lot to say about it. I have a list of, I think, 21 differences between Kashmiri Shaivism and Advaita Vedanta. So there are many fronts on which they do not agree, but they are fundamentally both non-dualist. I appreciate the beauty and extraordinary, profundity and depth, spiritual depth of Kashmiri Shaivism. And I really love it. But if I were to take the Advaitic point of view, I would say it doesn't stand. If you want to be absolutely logical, in Chandradhar Sharma's book at the end, you will see several pages of a very merciless refutation of Kashmiri Shaivism is given. That's why you will see Kashmiri Shaivism is not really a part of the dialectical tradition in India. It's a spiritual tradition. It's a wonderful spiritual teaching. But if you see whom Shankara fights with, he fights with the Sankhya, he fights with the Buddhists, he fights with the Nayayikas, the fully developed logical argumentation. Kashmiri Shaivism, one of our great intellectual monks, Ayon Maharaj, he has a very beautiful term for it. He said, oh, that's a Baroque philosophy. Baroque means incredibly ornate. If you see the details in Kashmiri Shaivism, incredible. Advaita Vedanta is just, it's very simple. You could put it in one page. Kashmiri Shaivism would require several volumes, and there are several volumes. So it's incredibly detailed. But if you were to defend that logically, you would have an impossible task. It's a spiritual methodology. They are not big for dialectical fights. You will see, there's very little dialectical fight there. But it's a spiritual methodology. It's deeply satisfying, very powerful, very comprehensive, and it will lead you to enlightenment probably better than anything else. Yeah. What else can I say about it? Do we have time up? Okay. Professor Arindam Chakravarti told me that once, long time ago, Swami, if you really want to understand Sri Ramakrishna's gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Advaita is inadequate. Vast number of things that Sri Ramakrishna brings up and teachings and the points of view. He says to understand that better you need Kashmiri Shaivism. He said that.
Swami, so how do you reconcile your personal practice of doing japa, when you said nama, rupa, vyavahara, daily we do all of those activities. So for you, how do you reconcile the Advaita philosophy or the framework with what you do every day, possibly with your sadhana? Because I still can't resolve the problem of practice. Because I'm thinking if I have a stick and actually fiddle with the rope, then I'll know for sure there's only a rope. But if I just have to look at it from a distance and as a pointer and realize it, I still want an activity to make sense of it.
There is no contradiction whatsoever. After all the Advaita, do you still eat and drink and walk and talk and hold a job and drive a car? If you can do all that, why can't you do japa? I understand your question, but think about it this way. Advaita Brahman, the Brahman of Advaita, the non-dual consciousness, is the underlying reality of all activities of the world. Why only spiritual activities? The worst of non-spiritual, materialistic, evil activities in the world, they are all made possible because of this one reality underlying it. It is still Brahman, the most ritualistic Pandit in the temple doing puja. It is Nirguna Brahman there. It's the Pandit and the puja and the image is being worshipped there. It makes all activities possible. It does not deny any activity. Take up whatever activity whatsoever. Sri Ramakrishna put it very simply. He says, in Bengali, I don't know how to translate this. Advaita gyan achole vede jaichetai karo. Tie the
in the corner of your in your cloth.
In the hem of your cloth.
Yes.
Tie the knowledge of Advaita to the hem of your cloth and do whatever you like. Now, hem of the cloth, this is an Indian allusion. Housewives in India, they will tie the bunch of keys to the hem of their sari. And so they have the control of the entire household. So then they go around doing all sorts of things in their work throughout the day. Now, he says, tie the knowledge of Advaita to the hem of your cloth. That is, it's your foundation. Do whatever else you like. Do whatever you like. It may be karma yoga, it may be bhakti yoga, whatever activities you like. You can withdraw and sit in a cave like Ramana Maharshi. You can be like Vivekananda, dynamically active in the world like Gandhi or whatever. Be socially active for good causes. Take care of or just love and take care of one person, one family. That's also good enough. Why? You are infinite Brahman. You have infinite time at your disposal. As many activities as you like. Absolutely. You're done? No? 5 minutes? Oh, good. I'll come to you next.
All right, I have a question. When I listen to you on Advaita Vedanta, it is so clear, it's like mathematics. But then I don't understand, why did Kapila stop at there? And he was smart enough to go one step further and say, why, for example, Ramanujam had to come up with this monistic dualism? Qualified monism.
So it seems very clear and simple and direct. So why did not only Kapila stop at Prakriti Purusha, why did Ramanuja come up with Vishishta Advaita? Why did Madhva? Or the Upanishads themselves. Now, there is an Advaitic answer to this. The Advaitic answer to this is these are all helpful steps towards Advaita. But notice that it privileges Advaita above everything else. And those who want to be in the dualistic framework For them, it's not very satisfying to know that you are base camp and not the peak of the mountain. We have given you a place. We don't dismiss you outright, but you're like inferior. The real thing is Advaita. Now, this might be okay for Advaita. It satisfies my ego that I've accommodated everybody. But nobody is happy with that accommodation. So, Swami Bhutesharananda used to say, somebody said, isn't it a ladder? Somebody asked him. I was there. Dualism, qualified monism, then non-dualism. Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, Advaita. Isn't it a ladder? His answer, he was enormously humorous. And he wouldn't laugh. He wouldn't smile, crack a smile at all. He said, a ladder can be reversed. Then Advaita becomes the bottom of the ladder. Has anybody done that? Yes. Go and ask the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. You know what they will say? Your pure consciousness, a non-dual Brahman, is just a glow of the body of Krishna. As you go further, the non-dualist faints at that look and says it's a nirvikalpa samadhi, looking at the glow. But the devotee, the lover of Krishna, goes a little further and discovers the beautiful blue form of Krishna with the peacock feather and playing the flute. So dualism for him is higher than non-dualism. Non-dualism is just the beginning for its base camp. They've reversed it. It can also be a matter of taste. It can also be a matter of the mental makeup. There are different paths. You say Prakriti Purusha. That is actually, if you look at it, Advaita is a little difficult to grasp. Prakriti Purusha, that is pretty much demonstrable by logic. What we did yesterday, if you stop there, that's basically Kapila's philosophy. None of it is the credit of Advaita. As Revered Atmarupanji was saying, more or less the classical Indian philosophies have been absorbed into Advaita and they've taken something from the different philosophies. I put it this way. Advaita takes the logic of Nyaya and the physics of Vaisheshika, the pure consciousness idea from Sankhya, and the yogic practices, the beautiful meditation techniques from Yoga, the textual interpretation techniques from Purva Mimamsa, and assembles them together and puts the brand Advaita. But if you look inside Advaita, where did you get? Oh, pure consciousness, beautiful idea. Where do you get to take a look at the component? Made in China.
Logically, if you keep on going,
Yeah.
you will end up in Advaita.
It is true. But
why
again,
people stop in there?
again, remember, it's your mental makeup. And you're blessed to have such a mind. And I'll say it because one Advaita into another. But there might be many people who are not satisfied with this. They find it dry or overwhelming, not beautiful enough. So some might want a devotional relationship. Some might want a meditative witness relationship. I'm trying to make a case for others and failing because my heart is done. Okay.
The dark night of the soul concept, the Christian mystics, how does it relate to what we were talking about with the fear of the jiva losing its individuality?
Yeah. The dark night of the soul. I used to answer this straight away earlier, but later I realized my conception of the dark night of the soul is not quite right. It was not at all what I thought it was. We sort of talk of the dark night of the soul as if the periods of doubt or the fear which comes. That's not it actually.
No.
Not at all. It's I think Saint John
of the Cross.
Saint John of the Cross. So I'll just leave it at that. From what I've read, the dark night of the soul is actually the unknown, mysterious, infinite. It is the real nature of Christ, and it is the real nature of what we might call Brahman. So there is if you put it in Advaitic terms, when you give up the knower-known relationship, you enter upon an unbounded darkness, let us say. It's not a problem. It's a sign of spiritual development. It's a very high spiritual state.
It's scary.
Yes, it could be scary because the individuality is being lost.
Yeah.
I have a cute little story about this. When I was a novice, new brahmachari, there was a great Swami Pavananandaji in India, Shambhu Maharaj. He was a disciple of Mahapurush Maharaj. He was the first Western Swami to spend his whole life, after Atulanandaji, I think, in India. He spent his whole life in India. He was Irish. So he was there when I was a new brahmachari. This was in Deoghar. And he had a beautiful small collection of books. I was always a bookworm, and I would go to the most complicated and difficult book in the collection, usually. So I was looking at the books he had, and I picked up The Dark Night of the Soul by St. John of the Cross. He was watching from the back. He came and plucked it out of my hand. And he said, "This later." And then he picked up another book. "This now." And he put it in my hand. And he was right. That book, the one he put in my hand, was the Letters of Brother Lawrence. Beautiful book. In those days, we couldn't buy books. I copied the whole book with a pen in a notebook. Beautiful book. But
the thing with the Dark Night of the Soul too is you keep going through as you get higher spiritual levels. It becomes. I guess the problem is you go there and then you just have to surrender to it. But it is darkness.
it is a not knowingness, but not knowingness in the subject-object sense. I would say that. You see, these are spiritual stages. They are mystical experiences, and you know why they come. From an Advaitic perspective, you understand why they come. If you keep identified with the jiva, with the seeker, with the limited mind, you will tend to go through these stages, and each will be a struggle, something wonderful. But if you make the switch straight away, I am the absolute, then the jiva can still go through all that, but it will not be important. Yes, you're done with